I, 18, female, recently had my birthday. At first, I was just going to have lunch with my friends at a restaurant, but my parents insisted on joining us and celebrating it together with us, even though we were going to celebrate at home as a family anyway. I didn't mind and told them I'd be happy to have everyone together at the party. It was all going well until my mom told me she also invited her friends to my birthday party. I didn't want them there because I didn't know them well enough, and it was just supposed to be people close to me. But she was stubborn about inviting them, so I suggested that we could have 2 timings, one for my mom's guests and the other for my friends. She agreed to it, and it was settled that we will invite her guests at 12 p.m, while my friends would be there at 2 p.m. This way, I could spend enough time with my friends and also give enough time to the other guests. On the day of the party, none of my mom's guests arrived on time, and only by the time all my friends were there did they start arriving. I was a bit annoyed, but didn't say anything. One of the guests' daughter, around 6 years old, wouldn't leave me alone. She clung to me the entire time. Her parents insisted on having her cut my cake. I let her do it since she was just a kid who probably wanted to do it for fun. But then, she started smashing the cake with her bare hands, wiping her snot on the new dress I was wearing, which was my birthday gift, and even spat on the food. And her parents, instead of disciplining their kid, stopped the music that my friends and I were playing and played kids' music so that their daughter could show us her dance. I didn't get to spend a single second with my friends, and by the time they left, everything was a mess. I still kept my cool and thanked everyone, including those parents, for coming to the party. Once everyone left, I started crying, and I told Mom how her guests ruined my birthday and that I hoped I never have to see them again. She took it as me blaming her for everything, so she started telling me how ungrateful of a child I am and that I didn't even deserve to have a birthday party. I don't even know what to tell her anymore. Update. Thanks to everyone for your birthday wishes. My friends and I are planning on hanging out pretty soon, and I'm happy we could have a redo party. No parents or 6-year-olds this time, lol. Many comments asked about my dad's reaction. My dad was against the entire thing when my mom first mentioned inviting her friends. But he had to give in since Mom was the one paying for most things, and there was no winning an argument with her. During the party, he was, well, drunk. Very drunk. And he didn't realize how big of a mess it was. He still thinks that the party went really well, lol. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. And I hope you show your mom this post so she can see just how utterly insensitive and selfish to do this, and then blame you. It was your birthday, but she insisted. Likely lied that she changed the times for her guests, allowed her guests to disrupt and destroy your things and celebration, and instead of praising you for handling it extremely well, attacked you when you were already down. Your mother is acting like a narcissist. I hope she genuinely isn't, and that showing her all the responses knocks it out of her. Sad to say, I doubt it though. These types of people don't change or realize others matter easily. Comment 2. OP, if you ever decide to have a wedding or graduation party, baby shower, etc., remember this day. If she can't respect your choice of guests, she can find herself uninvited. Better to have a small, inexpensive celebration with friends that care for you than a giant one which will be ruined by your mom's friends. In the meantime, try to have a calm discussion with your dad. Tell him how disappointed you are that your mom completely co-opted your party and made zero effort to keep a 6-year-old hellion from ruining your party and your dress. Then, when your mom isn't invited to the next celebration, he'll know why. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around after my last post. I've got quite the update for you all. So, after the disaster that was my birthday party, things at home have been tense to say the least. My mom and I haven't really been talking much. She's still upset with me for what I said about her friends and their kids ruining my birthday. But honestly, I'm still pretty upset too. I mean, who wouldn't be after their special day turned into a daycare nightmare? Now let's talk about my dad. Remember how I mentioned he was pretty wasted during the party? Well, turns out he's been drinking a lot more lately. It's like he's trying to avoid dealing with the tension between Mom and me. I guess he thinks if he's out of it, he won't have to pick sides. But it's just making things worse. Anyway, back to the party aftermath. My friends were super supportive, and we all decided to have a redo of my birthday. Just us, no parents, no random kids. We met up at my friend's place and had the best time. We ordered pizza, blasted our music, and just chilled. It was exactly what I needed after the chaos of the actual birthday. But here's where things get really interesting. The day after our redo party, I was at home when I heard my mom on the phone. She was talking to her friend, the one whose daughter wrecked my birthday cake. And guess what? She was actually apologizing to her friend for my behavior. Can you believe that? I was the one who had my birthday ruined, and she's apologizing on my behalf. I couldn't keep quiet. I confronted her about it, and we had a huge fight. I told her how unfair it was that she was taking their side after everything that happened. She just kept saying that I was overreacting and that I needed to grow up. It was like she didn't even see how her actions affected me. In the middle of our argument, my dad stumbled in, half drunk as usual. He tried to mediate, but ended up just making things worse. He told me that I should just forgive and forget, because that's what family does. But how can I forgive something like that? The next day, I was still fuming from the fight with my mom. I decided to go for a walk to clear my head. I ended up at the park where I used to play as a kid. It's funny how a place can bring back so many memories. I remembered how my mom used to take me there all the time. We'd have picnics, and she'd push me on the swings. It was a stark contrast to the mom I was dealing with now. While I was sitting there, lost in thought, my phone buzzed. It was a text from my mom. She said she wanted to talk when I got home. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I was hoping we could finally sort things out. I got home and found my mom sitting at the kitchen table. She looked like she'd been crying. We sat down, and she started to explain why she invited her friends to my birthday. Turns out, her friend, the one with the cake-smashing daughter, was going through a tough time. Her husband had left her, and she was struggling to make ends meet. My mom thought that inviting them to the party would cheer her up. I was shocked. I had no idea about any of this. It didn't excuse what happened, but it did make me see things from my mom's perspective a little bit. We talked for a long time, and I could tell she was really sorry. She even promised to talk to her friend about her daughter's behavior. But just when I thought things were getting better, my dad walked in. He had been listening to our conversation, and he was not happy. He started yelling about how we were ganging up on him, how he felt left out of everything. It was like he was looking for a fight. My mom and I tried to calm him down, but he was having none of it. He stormed out of the house, slamming the door behind him. We haven't seen him since. It's been a day now, and I'm starting to get really worried. My mom keeps trying to call him, but he's not answering. Mom let my tenant's mom into my area without permission, but I decide to ignore it. Oh boy, I get a call from the resort's concierge. I rent my basement suite out to my mom's best friend's daughter, Sally. I knew her growing up and I used to babysit her. The basement has 2 means of escape other than going into my area. It is fully up to code as an in-law suite. There is no reason for anyone to go through it into my space. I went on vacation, and I left my door to the basement deadbolted. 3 days into my vacation, I get an alert on my phone that there is an unauthorized event at my house. I look at the video. It's my mom opening the door for Sally's mom. They freak out when the alarm goes off. Usually, if I need my mom to get into my apartment, I will give her a temporary code. It is always the same one, because she gets confused by tech. But I have to activate it beforehand. I cannot do it retroactively. The only choice would be to call her and give her my personal code. I checked the cameras in the house, and strangely enough, my house is not on fire. I didn't leave the faucet running. There is no emergency. This is where I might be the jerk. Once I saw they were just messing around with my area for no good reason, I put my phone on airplane mode and went back to the party. Maybe 90 minutes later, a concierge at the resort came and said I was urgently needed on the phone. My dad has written down my whereabouts, and they called the front desk for me. I excused myself and went for the call. I asked my mom what the emergency was. Why was she getting me out of my friend's wedding reception? Was my house okay? Was my dad okay? She very brusquely told me to shut up and talk to the cops and the security patrol. I talked to them and apologized for wasting their time. I asked them what the emergency was that brought my mother into my house. They handed her back the phone and let her tell me that her friend did not want to sit in the basement while she was visiting her daughter. So my mom agreed to come, let them use my area, and it would be a secret. I asked the security company to please lock my house back up and take my key back from my mother. She started to protest, but I hung up. I enjoyed the rest of my trip, and my dad has agreed to pay any fines or penalties that come from the false alarm. Sally's mom wants her to move out. That's fine by me. I don't need a tenant, and was only doing it as a favor. Sally is almost apoplectic, begging me not to kick her out. She said that she didn't even know what our moms were up to until the alarm went off. My mom is pissed that I wasn't available immediately to get them out of trouble, and she is furious that I won't give her back my key. She thinks I did it on purpose. I'm not sure how she thinks I forced her to break into my home without permission. So, am I the jerk for making them sweat until they got a hold of me, and taking my key back since I can't trust her now? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Your mom and friend are rude. They deserved what they got. No key for her anytime soon. I wouldn't punish Sally for her mom. It doesn't sound like Sally was necessarily a part of this. If you have had no issues with her previously, let her stay, but just again express, she knows, but your home is off limits when you are not there, not invited in. Comment 2. Not the idiot your mother took liberties that were not hers to take and did so behind your back. She's earned the consequences of not trusting her and taking your key back. If her friend has such an issue, then she should have taken the friend and daughter back to her house for tea and cookies, instead of breaking into your home. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. I never expected my little family drama to blow up like that. Well, it's been a month since the break-in incident, and you won't believe the developments. First off, let me give you a bit of history about Sally's mom, Linda. She's always been the type to push boundaries. Growing up, I remember her borrowing things from my mom and never returning them. She had this sense of entitlement that made my skin crawl. And Sally, well, she's always been caught in the middle, trying to please her mom while being her own person. After the whole alarm fiasco, things went from bad to worse. Sally begged me not to kick her out, and I felt for her. She's like a little sister to me. But Linda, she was on a warpath. She started a smear campaign against me in our small community, telling anyone who would listen that I was an ungrateful child who had locked her out of my home for no reason. The real kicker came when I got back from vacation. I found out that Linda had tried to convince my dad to side with her. She spun a tale about how I had always been jealous of Sally and that this was my way of getting back at them. My dad, bless his heart, didn't buy it for a second. He's always been the level-headed one. But Linda didn't stop there. She somehow got her hands on my personal code for the house alarm. I still have no idea how, and tried to enter my house again. This time, she wasn't caught off guard by the alarm. She disabled it, and had the audacity to host a small get-together in my living room. I only found out because my neighbor texted me, asking if I was throwing a party and why they weren't invited. I was livid. I called the cops, and they arrived to find Linda and a few of her friends sipping wine on my couch. The look on her face when the officers escorted her out was priceless. She tried to play the victim, saying she thought I had given her permission. No one bought it. The injustice of it all was staggering. Here was a woman who had no respect for my privacy, my property, or the law, and she was trying to turn my own family against me. Sally was mortified when she heard what her mom had done. She came to me, tears in her eyes, apologizing for her mom's behavior. She told me she had no idea Linda was planning any of this. I believed her. Sally's never been good at lying, and she looked genuinely upset. The confrontation with my mom was inevitable. She was still angry with me for taking back my key and for involving the police with Linda. She said I was making a mountain out of a molehill. I reminded her that Linda had broken the law, not once, but twice, and that if anyone should be upset, it should be me. My mom didn't talk to me for weeks after that. It was a strange feeling, being in the middle of a cold war in my own family. But I stood my ground. I had to protect my home and my peace of mind. As for Sally, she decided to move out. She said she couldn't handle the tension between our families and that she needed to get away from her mom's influence. I helped her find a new place, and we've actually grown closer through all this mess. She's started to stand up for herself more, and I'm proud of her for that. The fallout from Linda's actions is still settling. My mom and I are slowly rebuilding our relationship, but it's going to take time. I've changed all my codes and made sure my security is tighter than ever. And Linda? Well, she's been charged with trespassing and has to do community service. I heard through the grapevine that she's not too happy about picking up trash on the side of the road. But maybe, just maybe, she'll learn a lesson about respecting other people's boundaries. Wife dies, and stepkids start disrespecting me, but then they refuse to leave my house, so I leave them with their grandparents. Oh boy, do they regret it. My wife passed away just before last Thanksgiving. It came out of nowhere, and I'm somewhat broken. To make it worse, my stepkids have decided that since I'm not their father, they don't have to obey me anymore. They are teenagers, and they have never been my biggest fans. They love their dad, and I was only ever their mom's husband. However, when Dina was alive, they treated our home well and me with respect. After she died, they became jerks. Yes, I know their mom died. It sucks. But that was my wife and the mother of my children. I am also having a tough time dealing. Their paternal grandparents are also shitting on me for not being more understanding of all they are going through. I have tried. I have offered them counseling. I have given them space. I have been there for them. I am at my wit's end. The last straw was when we were over there for supper last week. I said it was time to go so I could get the little ones to bed. My stepkids said that they didn't want to go and that I should leave them and come back for them. It is a 2-hour drive. I said no. Their grandparents said I was being too hard on them and that I should let them stay. I am having a hard time with 2 small children, the loss of my wife, and 2 teen jerks without having my in-laws pile on to make my life more difficult. So I did. I also packed up their stuff. Instead of coming back for them, I dropped off their stuff at their grandparents' house. I have 2 kids under 5 to take care of. I don't really have time to baby 2 teens that are just making my life harder. My house is clean for the first time in weeks. My kids are sleeping through the night. My stepkids are living with their uncle in the same city as me, so they can finish high school with their friends. Everyone on their dad's side is against me. I really don't care. I was told by both of them and by their father that I am not to try and parent them. So I'm not. I actually do not have any parental rights over them. Their dad was not even okay with me being a contact for them at school, so his parents bear the contact. My wife left behind a small life insurance policy, which I will divide between the 4 kids. But I was the breadwinner in my house. I bought pretty much everything there for the last 8 years, so now it's all mine. My in-laws are calling me a jerk for abandoning the kids, but I have 2 kids that need me more. The older 2 have a dad as well as grandparents to help them. My kids do too, I guess, but they also have me, and I want them to have a peaceful home. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I am probably going to be the minority, but I think, not the idiot. They have lost their mum, absolutely right, so you would expect trouble and playing up, etc. But what I don't understand is why their dad has not swooped in. If you were such a hindrance, where is he? As long as everyone is happy, including all kids and yourself, I wouldn't fret about anything, as I cannot see what you have done wrong here. You haven't left them on the streets. You have left them with family, and they are happy. If Daddy is so worried, he can step in, can't he? Comment 2. First off, I am so sorry for your loss. Secondly, not the idiot. You have 2 little ones who are going to have a hard enough time with not having a mother anymore. They don't need negativity while they are trying to heal. But please, OP, keep in contact with them. You are still a big part of their lives, and although they are being asshats, in the end, they are kids, and perhaps lashing out at you is the only way they feel they can safely vent their anger and frustration. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been 3 days since I last posted about the situation with my stepkids, and wow, things have taken some unexpected turns. I thought I was at my wit's end before, but the past 72 hours have been a whole new level of chaos. So remember how I said I dropped off my stepkids' stuff at their grandparents' house? Well, turns out that didn't go over as smoothly as I thought it would. The next day, their uncle, who they were supposed to be staying with, showed up at my door with all their belongings. He said he couldn't handle them because they were acting out too much, and he thought they'd be better off with their dad. But their dad refused to take them in, saying he didn't have the space or resources to deal with them full time. Now, I've been trying to keep my cool, especially for my little ones, but this was just too much. I couldn't believe their own dad wouldn't step up. I mean, I knew he wasn't the most involved father. He missed more than a few birthdays and school events, but to outright refuse to take in his own kids? That was a new low. The kids ended up back at their grandparents, who, by the way, have been giving me the cold shoulder ever since I abandoned the kids. They've been spreading rumors about me and the family, saying I'm heartless and don't care about my stepkids. But let's not forget, these are the same people who told me to back off and not parent them. In the midst of all this, I've been dealing with my own grief. Dina was my rock, and without her, I've been struggling to keep it together. I've been trying to stay strong for my little ones, but it's hard. They ask about their mom every day and it breaks my heart. But here's the twist, and trust me, I didn't see this coming. My stepdaughter showed up at my house last night, out of the blue, in tears. She said she was sorry for how she'd been acting and that she missed her mom and didn't know how to deal with it. She said she felt lost at her grandparents and that she wanted to come home. I was taken aback, to say the least. This was the same girl who just a week ago was telling me she didn't have to listen to me because I wasn't her real dad. We talked for a long time, and she opened up about feeling abandoned by her biological dad. It turns out he's been promising to spend more time with them, but never follows through. She said she felt like she had no one left who really cared about her. I have to admit, it hit me hard. Despite everything, I've always cared about those kids, even if I wasn't their father. So, I did something I never thought I'd do. I let her stay. I told her we'd take it one day at a time, and that we needed to work on rebuilding trust and respect in the household. She agreed and apologized to her younger siblings for her behavior. But that's not all. This morning, my stepson showed up too. He didn't say much, just that he had nowhere else to go. I could tell he was struggling with pride, but he looked relieved when I told him he could stay as well. It seems like the reality of their situation finally hit them both. Now, I'm not saying everything is perfect. Far from it. There's a lot of tension, and we're all walking on eggshells around each other. But for the first time since Dina passed, it feels like there's a glimmer of hope that we might be able to pull through this as a family. A different kind of family, but a family nonetheless. I'm still getting flack from the in-laws, but I'm learning to tune it out. My focus is on my kids, all 4 of them. I've started looking into family counseling because I think it's going to be necessary if we're going to heal from all the hurt that's been caused. As for the life insurance policy, I haven't touched it. I'm keeping it for the kids, like I promised Dina, and I'm starting to realize that maybe, just maybe, I can be more than just the guy who married their mom. Maybe I can be someone they can rely on, even if I'll never replace their dad. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.